Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Nike Kobe 3 Protros. This is Kobe Bryant's third signature shoe with Nike and his latest addition as far as the overall Protro line. And in my opinion, the most revamped when it comes to the updates that it brings compared to the other ones with the Kobe 8s and the Kobe 9s, where it wasn't really that much of an upgrade aside from the cushioning a little bit, but that was a little bit of a downgrade in my opinion. But as far as the updates in this, it does detail you with this little booklet of what changes that were updated as far as the shoe is concerned, such as the traction, the cushioning, as well as the overall materials itself. So there is a lot to unpack as far as the overall updates is concerned, and it has a pretty hefty price tag of $210, and they sold out the day of release, so they aren't available as far as they're concerned. However, the next release, the Christmas colorway, is available for pre-order if I'm not mistaken on sneakers.com. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to pre-order one for yourselves and stay up to date with that as far as the overall release of the Christmas colorway is concerned. Now for the sizing, in terms of availability, I was able to get a half size down of my true size, and apparently that was the best way to go because of that size. It was actually pretty one-to-one and quite snug at first, but it does open up the more you break it in. So when it came to the width of this shoe, it was actually nice and snug at first, and it does open up a little more to make it feel a little more forgiving, and the length of the shoe is pretty good as well. So as far as the fit is concerned, I would go down a half size for overall one-to-one fit. For narrow footers, you should be fine going down half size as well to get like that best fit. For wide footers, I would probably go true to size. At first they might feel uncomfortable because of the tight fit they're going to get, but just be sure that it will break down over time and it will space out inside the shoe as far as the sizing is concerned. So for wide footers, I would go true to size and you should be fine. For narrow footers, and myself included, I would go down a half size to get that one-to-one fit and to stay adjusted when the material breaks in over time. The traction features a full-length rubber outsole with a bunch of herringbone pods here in the forefoot, as well as on this lateral flange here and a little bit on the heel especially, and the rest of the outsole features this diamond pattern with more diamonds inside the diamonds itself here in the forefoot, with some basic diamonds here on the midfoot and more diamonds here in the heel with diamonds in between the outsole itself, which was the main highlight as far as updating the traction itself with the diamond pattern that you get, especially here in the forefoot. At first, I really didn't like this outsole because it was sliding pretty much on first go as far as the overall grip was concerned. So it did take some time to break in. And once it broke in, it actually felt pretty grippy and pretty close to the Kobe 9 Elites that I reviewed not too long ago. So when it comes to the grip, it does take a while to warm them up. That way it gets to that level and pretty comparable to the Kobe 9s. So as far as lateral movements go, they felt pretty good and shifty going side to side. The vertical movements felt very good when it came to hard stops, and it had a very nice launch on your first step, so you're going to have a pretty quick first step at that. On dusty courts, it does pick up dust, unfortunately, and it does pick up chunks to the point where it is a little difficult to come off at first wipe, so you do have to wipe it a few times just to get it off of the outsole itself. But for a general wipe, you should be fine. As long as it doesn't pick up too much dust, you should be fine on a dusty court. On the durability side of things, it is holding up pretty well as far as the grooves are concerned. The signs of wear that I am experiencing, especially on the diamond tread itself, is a little bit of fraying on the high wear areas with a little bit of baldness when it comes to the micro gritting that you get from the outsole itself, and you do get a little bit of baldness on the lateral flange on the other side of the outsole where the herringbone is exposed, and you get a little bit more here in the back half of the outsole itself. So as far as the durability goes, it is holding up pretty well indoors. You should be fine with these outdoors. Just be mindful that the grooves themselves are a little pliable and they are pretty shallow, but not as shallow as the Kobe 9s, so you will expect a little bit more durability as far as the 3s go compared to the 9s. So you might be better off with the 3s compared to the 9s as far as the durability goes outdoors. So for the most part, it's actually very good as far as the overall grip is concerned. It just takes a little bit of time to warm up and get to the same level as the Kobe 9s did, in my opinion. Maybe the same level as the Kobe 8s, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the overall experience goes. So grip is pretty good, very comparable to the 9s. Just be mindful that you do have to warm them up. It does get dusty, so just be mindful to consistently wipe them down. And for outdoor use, you should be fine, and a little bit better when it comes to the Kobe 9s, in my opinion. Now, the next update in the Kobe 3s is the cushioning setup, where you do get a full-length Cushlon 3.0 midsole, along with a full-length Zoom Strobel unit right underneath it, and a bottom-loaded carbon fiber shank plate here in the midfoot, which is quite a noticeable upgrade compared to the regular Kobe 3s, where it features a full-length Phylon midsole with isolated Zoom units here on the forefoot and in the heel. And at first, it is actually overall pretty good. It did take some time to break in, especially in the back half, which I will explain in just a second. But firstly, on the forefoot, it actually has a nice responsive feel, pretty responsive at the end of the day. And with the midfoot shank plate that you get, it actually offers a pretty nice bouncy step under your foot, so you're going to have a nice launch off of the ground when you are playing in these. So very nice and responsive, nice slightly feel with a very nice bounce under it as well. In the back half, the heel cushioning, at first, it did feel noticeably stiff because of the caging that you get. It does isolate the Cushlon midsole a little bit. That way it feels a little firmer, but once you break it in over time, it actually feels a little bit more comfortable, to the point where it was nice and forgiving in the heel. And as a result of that, the impact protection felt very solid as well, and it felt really nice when it came to heel strikes as well. So very nice. As long as you break it in, the more over time, it will start to feel more forgiving under your foot, and it is a lot better in terms of fluidity as well. The more you break it in, at first it did feel a little clunky, especially here in the heel, but the more you break it in, it actually feels a lot smoother when it comes to the heel to toe transitions, and it feels overall very fluid and pretty snappy because of the shank plate that you get in the midfoot. It gives it a nice snap, so you're going to have very quick heel to toe transitions, and you're able to get it up and down the court pretty easily. So as far as the cushioning is concerned, it is very nice. You just have to break it in a little bit because it does feel stiff at first, and once you do, overall forefoot cushioning is nice and responsive with a pretty nice bounce. Heel cushioning is very nice and forgiving once you break it in, and it's overall pretty fluid the more you break it in. Now, the next update in the Kobe 3s is the materials themselves, and as you look closely into the shoe, you get this synthetic leather toe ram that you get in the forefoot, and as you continue into the midfoot, you get this plastic basketball netting on the lateral and medial side of the shoe with engineered mesh in the bottom layer of the plastic netting on the medial and lateral side of the shoe, and continues into the heel. The tongue also has some mesh material on the base of the tongue, with a little bit of synthetic leather on the top, with some decent padding on the top of the tongue. And you also get these Batman ears in the heel with some pretty decent padding that you get around the ankle collar as well as in the heel, with some more textile paneling that you get on the back half of the shoe as well. So as far as the materials go, they do feel pretty comfortable after you break it in a little bit. It didn't have to be that long when it came to the overall breaking period, because it's mostly consistent of mesh material, but it does take a little bit of time to break in the synthetic leather here in the toe box, but not a lot, and it felt pretty comfortable overall, and surprisingly flexible considering the overall malleability of the plastic netting that you get here in the midfoot. So I didn't have any pinching in the forefoot, and it continued into the midfoot as well, so I didn't have any discomfort in the midfoot, and the padding is substantial enough that way I didn't experience any pinching throughout the lace line itself. In the heel, it is very nice and encumbering around your heel. The only issue that I had with it is that since it's a high top, it does tend to like pinch the heel a little bit. That way it is like a little restricting when it comes to the overall ankle movements that you get. I usually wear low tops, so that really isn't that much of an issue, but when I'm wearing high tops, it does pinch my foot a little bit when you are in certain angles. So that was like my only gripe as far as discomfort is concerned, but for the most part, it's actually very comfortable in the heel, aside from the movements that you're going to get in the heel. And as far as the aesthetics go, it is a very nice looking shoe, especially in this halo colorway. It has a very nice aesthetic, especially with the basketball netting that you get throughout the shoe itself. I like the synthetic leather that you get in the forefoot, which does feel pretty premium when it comes down to it. I do like this iridescent look that you get on the top of the tongue with the Kobe logo, and you get more Kobe logos basically splattered throughout the back half of the shoe, and you also get this little plastic, little crystal aesthetic on the back lateral side of the shoe, with a little plastic piece of Kobe's logo in the back, with another plastic pad that you get on the rubber that you get on the back half of the shoe, which is pretty nice. The only downside is that it does get pretty dirty quite quickly because it is a white shoe. So that is like the one downside of the material itself. And another thing that I forgot to point out is that the dots that you get on the front of the shoe and the little stitching that you get, when you turn it upside down, it does look like a cobra, which was a very interesting detail that I found out recently. So that was pretty cool when it comes to a nod of the Kobe's mantra when it comes to the cobra aesthetic of the shoe itself. So it does remind me of a snake a little bit when it comes to the detailing that you get in the forefoot. So very nice aesthetic looking shoe, aside from it being white, so it does get pretty dirty easily. And as far as comfort goes, it is very comfortable, aside from the encumbering feel that you get in the heel and the lack of mobility when it comes to the overall ankle mobility that I would like to have when it comes to low top shoes. But since this is a high top, it's a little more restrictive. When it comes to the lockdown, to me, it's actually a very nice overall well-designed package when it comes down to it, with the overall design of the shoe itself. In the forefoot, because of the snug fit that I get, and once it breaks in, it actually molds a little bit better, and it is a little bit more flexible, but it still manages to contain the forefoot very nicely, and I didn't experience any sliding when it came to lateral movements and vertical movements. So for forefoot lockdown, it's really good. In the midfoot, the lacing system is basically integrated with this netting material that you get on the lateral and medial sides. So it does a really good job of containing the midfoot very well, and you basically get a semi-gusseted tongue. So it does give you a nice wrap here in the midfoot, and a lot of maneuverability with an extra eyelet that you get further back into the lace line itself. And in the heel, because of the Batman ears that you get, it envelops the shoe even more. That way it contains the entire ankle completely, and at that point I didn't experience any heel slippage at all when I was playing in these. So the sculpture is very nice, and it contains it really well, and the padding that you get molds to your foot really well, like insanely well, to the point where I didn't move around in the back half of the shoe. So very nice when it comes to heel lockdown, with zero heel slippage at that point. And the lockdown in the midfoot is very nice with the wrap that you get from the laces and the tongue itself, and the snug feel that you get from the forefoot lockdown itself. So one of the best lockdown packages that you can get, in my opinion, especially with the high top design that you get with the Batman ears, providing you zero heel slippage at the end of the day, which I like when it comes to lockdown especially. So lockdown from top to bottom is top notch in my opinion. Lastly, for support, the support overall to me is really good. It just has one little feature that is really bugging me from time to time when I played in these, which I will get to in a second. But when it comes to lateral support, it actually offers a very big protruding outrigger here in the forefoot, and it continues into the midfoot. So you're going to have some nice containment laterally as far as the overall side-to-side containment is concerned. And you also are cradled within the midsole itself, so you're going to have some nice containment from the midsole itself and the leather overlay that you get here in the forefoot. And you do get some substantial support from the netting as well. That way the mesh material doesn't cave in, especially here in the midfoot. And you also get a little bit more from the outrigger itself. And in the heel, you also get this little plastic clip on the lateral side, and also an internal heel counter to keep the back of the shoe nice and planted as far as the heel containment is concerned. So for lateral support, it is really good, with a very substantial outrigger and the cradled feel that you get from the midsole, and the containment that you get from the materials themselves is very good as far as lateral containment is concerned. Torsionally, it is really good. You do get this midfoot shank plate that's made out of carbon fiber, so it keeps the shoe nice and rigid in the midfoot, allowing some play here in the forefoot. That way it doesn't feel overly stiff. Fairly easy to contort, but nothing crazy as far as the overall balance of the shoe. I didn't experience any tipping as far as that's concerned, but the base of the shoe is where I did run into some issues. The forefoot section is fairly wide, so you do have a nice wide base here in the forefoot, but it slims quite drastically when you get to the back half of the shoe. So that was like a little bit of an issue that I came with, and when I landed awkwardly at an angle, especially in the heel, it did lead to my foot tipping a little bit and tweaking my ankle a little bit. So that was like the only downside of the base of the shoe. It is quite narrow on the back half, but if you land on your forefoot, it's actually quite nice. So you have a nice wide base and pretty flat, so you do have a nice flat platform to land on if you are a forefoot striker when you are coming down. But if you land in your heel, that maybe a point of emphasis where you do run into a little bit of an issue because it does get quite slimmer when you move further back into the shoe. But everything else, when it comes to lateral support, it does its job well, and torsionally it is rigidly sound with enough play and quite a good bit of balance when it comes down to it. And the base is fairly wide in the forefoot and in the heel, but it does slim out when it comes to the back half of the shoe, which is like my only gripe when it comes to the support features itself. But everything else about it is very good at the end of the day. So to sum it up for you guys, the Kobe 3 Protros to me is a great shoe in my opinion, and most likely the best when it comes to overall performance that you get out of Kobe's line from what I've tried so far when it comes to my experience. The traction to me is great and pretty close to the Kobe 9s, but I do like the tackiness that you get in the 9s a little bit more, but the 3s are quite close when it comes to it, aside from the dust pickup that you get. Cushioning is great, you just have to give it some time to break in, especially here in the back half of the shoe. Materials are great as well, aside from the pinching that you get in the heel. Lockdown is fantastic, as well as the support. Ticks all the boxes aside from the narrow base that you get on the back half. So it is a great shoe, and in my opinion, the best Kobe that I have played in my personal experience, and a great shoe all around, and it comes with a great big price tag. So for 210 bucks, it does take some time to get to the point where the performance of the shoe makes sense, because the traction does take some time to warm up to get to that level of grip compared to the Kobe 9s. The cushioning as well, it does take some time to break in, as well as the materials, but not as much. Lockdown and support is no slouch as well. So in my opinion, this is the best Kobe that I have played in so far when it comes to my personal experience. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Kobe 3 Protros. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on what you think of the Kobe 3 Protros. Are they the best Kobe's when it comes to the entire Protro line that has been released? I'd like to know your thoughts on that, as well as any other questions that you might have regarding if the price is worth it, if the overall material updates, as well as the cushioning and traction is worth it compared to the OG Kobe 3 release. I'd like to know your thoughts, as well as any other questions that you might have regarding to that and anything else shoe related. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below. It will greatly support the channel as well. If you'd like to see my reviews of the Kobe 8s as well as the Kobe 9 Elites, I will leave those videos on the corners of the screen right here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of the information will be in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.